end on a hopeful note. And so I started thinking about it. And specifically, I was thinking directly about the second verse. I've lived my life completely in fear. And I'd had a conversation with the chaplain at my university at the time. Shout out to Tim Palmer. I'd had a conversation with Tim at some point earlier, like I think a few months before I wrote the song, or maybe a few weeks. But we had this conversation, and I had confided to him all these problems that I had with anxiety and PTSD and stuff. And he asked me, he said, "What do you think the antidote to fear is?" And I said, "I don't know, I guess bravery." And he said, No, that's the antonym. And he said, "Do you want to know what I think?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I think the antidote to fear is love." And so we had a conversation about that, but that stuck with me. And so that's how that verse was written. I just thought about, love. Love is, I'm gonna like heal. And I wasn't thinking specifically about anyone when I wrote about love. But a year later, when I found out I was pregnant with my son, I realized that was the love that I was talking about. This unconditional love that, yeah, it hurts. It hurts. My son's still living with my parents, and he's doing really well, and they're doing really well, and I'm so grateful that he had a safe place to go. But I miss him, and it breaks my heart that I can't have him right now. But that love I have for my son is sometimes literally the only thing that keeps me alive and that keeps me from being afraid. And I mean, it's not like I'm brave all the time. I'm not. But that saved my life. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pause this for a second because I'm about to start just sobbing. Okay. I know for you that was probably like nothing, but for me that was a couple of minutes of just sobbing. But so the reason I'm sharing this song and the reason I'm wanting to talk about my brokenness, and I'm not rebuilt, I guess you could say. There's still a lot of brokenness in me that I'm trying to heal, trying to repair, trying to build. But the reason I share this is because I was thinking about brokenness. Actually, it kind of started with I was at work, and I assemble pens and lanyards, so I have a lot of time to exercise my brain. So I was thinking about muscles. Yum. Don't judge me. # don't judge me. So I was thinking about muscles, and I was thinking about the process of building muscles and how when you're actually building muscle mass, what you're doing, is you're actually tearing, i.e. breaking your muscle tissue. Very, very tiny little tears. And then your body generates new muscle tissue to fill in those tears. and then you tear that, and your body generates more, and so you slowly over time build up muscle mass. And then cause someone to go into a daydreamy trance at work and get teased by her coworkers. But so I was thinking about that, and then I was scrolling around on Facebook, and I saw, I wasn't scrolling around, I was stalking, but that's beside the point. And I saw this post from someone talking about, I can't quote it verbatim, and so I apologize if I fuck this up, but it's something talking about, like, if you didn't know any better, if you saw the process of a seed taking root, it would look like the seed had been totally and completely destroyed and broken. But really, it's growing. And I've heard that metaphor before. Well, actually, I've heard a different metaphor with the seed. Is something about a seed can only start growing in darkness. Like, you have to put it in a dark place underground. And yes, it's going to need some certain amount of sunlight, but it's underground in the darkness. So, but anyways, going back to the broken metaphor, and so I started thinking about all that, and thinking about broken girl, and I said, you know what, I think it's time that I share that on the Positivity Podcast, because I think I need to talk about it. That all the things that broke me, it doesn't mean it's the end of my story, all the things that are still trying to break me. There's a quote from this author named Rebecca Wells. She wrote The Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, and a few other books having to do with the Yayas and their brood. But in the introduction to her collection of short stories called Little Altars Everywhere, she talks about how that book came about, how these stories came about. She worked in the theater. She was a director and a performer and a playwright, I think. In any event, she got injured on stage. She injured her foot, and so she had to sit still, which was very difficult for her. But she was talking about this, and at some point she says, breaks create openings that were not there before. And in those openings grow the seeds for new creation. And so I started thinking about that, again, because seeds keep coming up in metaphors about brokenness and growing and all that, right? So we always think about the seeds being broken when it's really just growing. It's in a dark place so that it can grow, but we never think, or I never stop to think about in relation to what about the ground? So you have to break the ground open. I mean, maybe it's soft and pliable, but it's still a certain amount of breaking so you can put the seed in the ground so it can take root. So growth is all about breaking. Growing muscles, growing plants, growing as a person means you have to break. And you have to break a lot. And sometimes the people and circumstances around you have to break. And it's not an easy process. But you have to go through it. And so, but I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you have to believe that you're gonna rise above the dark place, rise above the broken pieces around you, and grow into the light, you know? And for me, that was my son. I don't pretend to believe that that's the answer for everybody. Like, oh, you feel broken? Have a baby. No. Please don't. Because, yes, there's great catharsis in being a parent, but if you're not in a place mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc., where the sacrifices that come with parenthood are sacrifices you're willing to make, don't be a parent. It's not an easy fix. It's not. I think what I'm trying to say is that it's not, oh, you feel broken, have a baby. It's, oh, you feel broken. Eventually, you'll find healing. You'll find what helps you hold your pieces together. Or rebuild those pieces. So, I hope this show made sense. I had no outline, as usual. I don't script these things, I just sort of start talking. But that's what you love about this show, right? Right. So, before I start my, social media tirade, I want to give a shout out to my friend TJ, who was awesome enough to keep me on video chat on Messenger last night, so I didn't do anything majorly stupid. I said a bunch of stupid stuff, but I said it to TJ, so thanks TJ for being so awesome. I really appreciate it. So, if you'd like to follow me on social media, the username to look for is purplebecca923. That's PURPLEBECCA 923. That is my username on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And with regards to Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, I always follow back. Always, always, always. It might take me a little while sometimes to notice, like, hey, you're following me. But I always follow back, unless and until you send me something inappropriate, in which case you will be dealt with accordingly, either by being deleted, blocked, or reported, or all three. purplebecca923@gmail.com is the email address if you want to send me a message. And website's still under construction because Becca can't focus. So, remember to go out there and create what you deserve. Believe that you deserve it, and then go and create it so you can fly with the penguins. Talk to y'all later.